Hi, Mike McGinnis for agriculture.com here on the Your World in Agriculture segment with Pedro Dejneka. He is the president and owner of PHDerivativos, other words, derivatives. And Pedro, thanks for taking time out here. You're located in Chicago, coming to us via Skype today. Hello.
Hello, Mike. Hello to all.
Well, there are some people here in the U.S. that are a little confused about the Brazilian crop, whether it's falling or whether it's staying the same based on the flood that happened in the northern part of the country and the drought in the southern part. What's your perspective? You're really the first person I'm hearing that's saying don't take the Kool-Aid here, don't drink the Kool-Aid of a lower crop.
That's right. That's right. I definitely am not drinking the Kool-Aid, especially after visiting Brazil. I just came back a couple of weeks ago. I was born and raised in Brazil, and still have a lot of contacts down there. And made a nice visit. I drove through the state of Mato Grosso, the center part of Brazil. That's the biggest soybean producing state in the world. I mean, it's a lot of soybeans coming out of there. Listen, you got a situation that you had a lot of pictures going around the internet, a lot of pictures going on email of some fields looking pretty bad. But at the end of the day, that was a very, very localized problem. Don't get me wrong. It hit a large portion because it's such a big state. But we have another huge portion of the state that's harvesting record yields. Mato Grosso is still gonna harvest a big crop. And in the south, in Paraná, that's my home state, the drought did hit Paraná pretty hard, but it was the northern part of the state. And, it hit some parts of São Paulo and Minas Gerais as well. But those are, Paraná is a large producing state, but São Paulo and Minas Gerais are not. Some of Goiás. But overall, what we got to understand is the initial estimate of the crop in Brazil was about 92, 93. It wasn't the 90 million metric tons that the USDA and CONAB were talking about. If you talk to industry insiders at the time, everybody was expecting 92, 93. So we're going to have a nice cut in production. But in my eyes, I have a hard time thinking it's going to be below 87 million metric tons.
And currently, just so we all understand, the USDA has an estimate of 88 and a half.
Correct. So I think, you could see a little bit of, there's a little room for wiggle room for the USDA. My firm, Derivativos here, we estimate, my last estimate a couple of weeks ago is at 88.2. That can change, sure, obviously, but nothing major. Quite frankly, nothing major. And one thing that very few people are talking about, Mato Grosso is planting a lot of second crop soybeans this year. Now, it's debatable how much they're putting on the ground, but I would tell you that they're probably going to harvest anywhere from 500,000 to maybe 1 million metric tons of second crop soybeans this year, if weather contributes. So there's a lot of variables still. Maybe still a little room to cut the USDA, but as a matter of fact, the USDA attaché in Brazil just came out and estimated, if I'm not mistaken, it was at 88 million metric tons. And I think they're right in the ballpark.
So when will that safrinha soybean crop be harvested?
You're talking, from mid-July on. I mean, that's something that just went on, possibly early July in some spots. It's going to be, right with the corn crop, with the safrinha corn crop that's going to be harvested. So it looks beautiful. Don't get me. I mean, I was driving through the state. I was very surprised at the amount of second crop soybeans that was on the ground.
Any other infrastructure updates as we head towards the end of March that you are hearing about?
Some of the recent rains, are maybe delaying some things at the ports. But quite frankly, the Chinese mainly are probably saying, thank goodness that's happening, because, they right now have a large indigestion. I mean, they have a lot of beans coming their way. And from what I understand, trying to cancel and roll cargoes forward. So, a little bit of delays because of some recent rains, especially in Santos. But quite frankly, I don't think anything major this year. And look out, Brazil is, really investing in infrastructure finally to the northern part of the country. And I think the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see things really take a turn for the better down there.
Are you hearing anything, Pedro, about Brazil shipping soybeans to the U.S.?
I am. I am. I'm hearing quite a bit of that, as a matter of fact. Now, obviously, it's always difficult to quantify exactly, because you hear a lot. I mean, I heard, yesterday, maybe 5 to 10 cargoes. Yes, just yesterday. And so it's one of those situations that the numbers work right now. Quite frankly, I know it's happening from some contexts, but even some of the contexts that tell you that this is happening, you pin them down to try to get a quantity.
Yeah.
It's always difficult to get a quantity.
Okay. Thanks for your time, Pedro. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, Pedro Dejneka, the president and owner of PHDerivatives, coming to us via Skype in Chicago. I'm Mike McGinnis for Your World in Agriculture on agriculture.com.